They demolished my cabin. My fishing cabin, the one my father and I built with cedar logs, the one where my daughter Sarah learned to bait her first hook. I stood there staring at a pile of splintered wood and broken glass, and Linda Crawford, the HOA president, stood nearby with that smug little smile like she was the queen of the lake, and I was just a trespasser in her kingdom. But what she didn't know was that she had just declared a war she couldn't win. That cabin wasn't much to outsiders, just a shack by Silver Creek Lake. But to me, after 20 years in the service, it was the one place quiet enough to drown out the noise in my head. It was where Sarah came back from illness, sitting on the porch, breathing that lake air, finding her strength again. Every nail in that place held a piece of my family. That morning I was drinking lukewarm coffee, watching the mist lift off the water, when I saw her marching up the dirt path, clipboard in hand, moving like a drill sergeant on inspection. Trouble always walks like that. "Mr. Reynolds," she barked, "you're 6 months behind on your HOA fees, $3,000. You have until 5 p.m. or we enforce the lien." I almost laughed. I pay by check every month, everyone cleared. I keep a ledger down to the dime. I told her so. She tapped her clipboard like it was a gavel. "Special assessment for lake dredging. It was announced in the newsletter. Your responsibility to stay informed. Payment was due 90 days ago. Now it's remediation. That means demolition." I stood up then, the old chair groaning. "You can't do that," I told her, steady as I could manage. "This cabin's been here 50 years. You don't have the authority." She just smirked. "Oh, but we do. 5 p.m. or the shack comes down." And she turned and walked away like she'd already won. I tore the place apart looking for proof. Bank statements, canceled checks, old newsletters. Not one word about dredging, no vote, no notice. I drove to the office locked, called voicemail full. It was all a setup. That night I convinced myself it was a bluff. No way they'd bulldoze a man's home overnight. But I was wrong. At dawn I walked outside, rod in hand, ready to fish, and found my neighbor Mr. Henderson, pale as death. "Jack, I tried to call you. They came an hour ago." I walked past him, and there it was, or rather it wasn't. My cabin, my sanctuary gone. Just splintered wood and churned up dirt. A bulldozer parked beside the wreckage blade, still caked with mud. I stepped into the ruins, and my boot crushed the glass of a framed photo of my late wife. That wasn't demolition. That was execution. Neighbors came whispering pity or hiding behind curtains. Nobody wanted to take my side. I called Sarah. I told her as calmly as I could, and she just whispered, "No, Dad, not the cabin." I heard her sob, and it broke something in me. I sat in my truck holding a piece of railing my father carved his initials into, and I swore this wasn't the end. When I stormed into the HOA office, Linda leaned back in her chair, fingers steepled Martha Sims by her side like a stone gargoyle. I laid out my proof. Every payment accounted for, no special assessment. She didn't even glance at it. "Your failure to stay informed is not the board's fault. We followed the bylaws." Then she waved me off like trash. They weren't just refusing to listen. They were savoring it. That night a buddy called Tom Delgado from my old unit. "They're streaming a board meeting," he said. I watched as Linda sat in front of the flag, acting solemn, announcing to the community how they had to take decisive action to protect property values. She didn't say my name, just called me the property. She looked straight at the camera. "Let this be a message. Our rules are not suggestions." My land, my memories erased with a smirk. That was the moment grief burned off, and all that was left was ice. I played their game first, requested to see the records. Linda dumped 5 boxes of loose papers in front of me, thinking the chaos would bury me, but I'd spent my life tracing wires through messes no one else could read. It didn't take long. Fake invoices, dead contractors, money funneling nowhere. And then I found it, Clearwater Solutions, LLC, 75 grand for emergency dredging. Pixelated logo, no license, and the signature, Linda's own hand. She'd fabricated the invoice that cost me my cabin. I thought proof would turn neighbors to my side. Showed Henderson. He paled, whispered, "This is criminal." But then he backed away. "I can't, Jack. She'll find me, she'll ruin me." Door after door, the same answer: fear stronger than justice. Linda retaliated with petty fines, trash can visible too early, grass an inch too high. The newsletter even called me out as a malicious rumor spreader. Soon folks I'd known 30 years couldn't meet my eyes in the grocery aisle. That's when Sarah begged me, "Dad, please, let it go. You're obsessed. You're becoming just like her." And for a moment I believed her. I sat in the garage, staring at a plat map of the community walls closing in, convinced I'd lost everything: my cabin, my daughter's trust, my neighbor's respect. I almost quit. But then I saw it, a faint dotted line on that map. The lake. Parcel B, separate. Not part of the HOA at all. I spent days at the county office digging through dusty deeds. And there it was, Silver Creek Lake, floating in legal limbo for 30 years, never owned by the HOA. They had no right to it. They'd been collecting fees, enforcing rules, all on property that wasn't theirs. And with every cent I had, I could claim it. Buy the lake, take their crown jewel away. It cost me my savings, my golden years. Sarah begged me not to, tears in her eyes. "It's revenge, Dad. You'll lose everything." I almost listened. Almost. But then I remembered Linda's face on that stream mocking me. I told the lawyer, "Submit the offer." Weeks of silence, endless harassment piling up, neighbors avoiding me. I felt like a ghost. And then the email came: "Parcel B is yours." I printed the deed, felt its weight like a weapon, and I knew exactly where to strike. The annual HOA barbecue was that Saturday overlooking the lake. I didn't go. Instead, Tom and I set up with a camera on my old lot, streaming live to the community's Facebook page, the same one Linda used to broadcast her fake sermons. I stood by the water as the sun set behind me. "Good evening, neighbors. My name is Jack Reynolds. For those who don't know, my cabin stood right here until your HOA president demolished it." I held up the fake invoice, explained the forgery, showed the spillway that proved dredging was never needed. And then I dropped the hammer, I held up the deed. As of 3 weeks ago, Silver Creek Lake is mine, legally. The HOA has no authority here. Effective immediately, all access is revoked. Phones lit up on the clubhouse patio. Linda's face went ghost white. People were shouting, pointing. She grabbed a phone, screamed at the screen, then stormed down toward me, waving papers. "These are the original covenants. We control this lake." "Still live on camera?" I asked. "Are those as real as your dredging invoice, Linda?" She froze. Nothing. Behind her, the crowd was turning, loyalists slipping away, whispers rising into shouts. The Queen was naked. She tried one last desperate stunt days later, cutting through my padlock at 3 a.m., spray painting mine on my signs. Sheriff came, compared her forged papers with my deed, and clicked handcuffs over her wrists. Trespassing, vandalism, felony forgery. That was the end. The woman who strutted like a monarch was dragged off as a common criminal. And I learned the simplest truth of all: bullies only win when you let them.